my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remember blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria. Remember, they will always change the narrative. The government will always try as much as possible to use the conventional media to change the narrative, but that I will not allow. In this platform, we'll set the record straight and we'll say it the way it is. Not preaching hate speech, not by talking down to anybody, but setting the record straight and bringing the information to the front burner and letting the world know the exact situation of things. Each time you watch my video, you can equally go to the comment section, put down your comment, say it the way you feel it. It's so welcome. You can criticize if you so desire, but do it constructively so that we can be able to learn from one another. That is why I'm here. And now, I'm going to share with you a very important video. I hope after watching the video from the beginning to the end, you're going to enjoy the video and you continue to stick around and be able to enjoy the rest videos that are going to be coming your way from time to time. Thank you so much for coming. Today, the video I'm going to share with you is a very important video.
Okay, so right now, ECOWAS is not able to deal with the coup situation in Mali. Burkina Faso's coup is mimicking what happened in Mali. Yeah. Both coups are against insurgents that are coming, as you would like us to believe, as remnants of the overthrow of Colonel Gaddafi in Libya. Okay, so right now, the government in Burkina Faso has been overthrown, deposed. Where are they?
Well, the president is in detention, and some of the ministers, we don't really know their whereabouts. And the constitution has been dissolved, the National Assembly dissolved, everything has just gone down the drain.
Same with Mali?
Same with Mali.
Okay, why has ECOWAS not been able to intervene in Mali? You were talking about Russia's involvement at the Security Council level to block the ECOWAS looking for a macro permission from the United Nations to intervene. Tell us about that.
ECOWAS have always approached coup situation with just one simple method that has never worked. You allow the coup to take place, you go with the threat of sanction.
I don't agree with you when you say you allow the coup to take place. How does ECOWAS allow the coup to take place?
Well,
the coup takes place. It's not ECOWAS that allows the coup to take place.
When ECOWAS wanted to act, we saw the wheel in Gambia.
They moved in.
Yeah. We saw signals.
The situation in Gambia was that an election had been won by Adama Barrow. The Ajame was initially accepted, and then he changed his mind, resisting the handover to Adama Barrow. That's not a coup. So ECOWAS went in to enforce the declaration of the Electoral Commissioner. So that's different.
But we also saw the wheel when ECOWAS wanted to go into Liberia and Sierra Leone.
Yeah, that's way back, yes. Yeah. In the Liberia situation,
Civil
War was occurring. Charles Taylor was running through West Africa and then now almost suddenly running to Monrovia and going to overthrow Sergeant Doe. Yeah. There are experts who believe that ECOWAS should have allowed the overthrow, like a normal coup in everywhere in Africa, whether it was Siad Barre or Mobutu Sese Seko or J.J. Rawlings or Babangida Abacha or Captain Thomas Sankara. People believe that ECOWAS should have allowed the overrun of Samuel Doe because he had become unpopular anyway, and they believe that he had violated the Liberian constitution in many ways. So that can be said. But that's still not the same as saying a coup has occurred in Burkina Faso or in Mali or in Niger, and you say ECOWAS allows the coup to happen. That's the contention I'm bringing to you.
If we create a standby force to intervene, institutions come to intervene and we don't intervene, what is the sense of the standby force? It's of no use.
But we can intervene now. Now that the coup has occurred, we can intervene. Well, we can't intervene before the coup, is it? Unless the country invites ECOWAS to come in.
If the argument is on national sovereignty, non-interference, then ECOWAS in the first place had no business in Gambia. It was an internal issue. Why was ECOWAS there? Non-interference should apply.
Yeah, but the Gambians wanted the interference. They invited it, didn't they? They invited it. So if Burkina and Mali had not invited ECOWAS to come in, how did they go in?
But before the Malian coup, we saw a very huge protest led by Mahmoud Dicko against the government of Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. So if you argue that in Gambia there was a call by Gambians, in Mali there was a call by Malians to oust Boubacar Keïta, there's only a lack of political will. And the root of all this could trace back to our decision when Alassane Ouattara was going for a third term, which itself, people say constitutional coup. I don't believe in the word constitutional coup. an act can only be constitutional if it's in accordance with the law. Any act that contradicts the law itself is unconstitutional.
But last time Ouattara had a constitutional amendment before he was able to go for the third term. And as you know, the Ouattara situation is also slightly different because of the demise of the guy who Ouattara had sort of anointed to run for the election on the ticket of his party.
In democracy, do you anoint a successor?
No, he didn't, but he was supporting him, which is okay. You can support.
So because of the death of your anointed successor, you have to come for a third term. Unconstitutional. But we allowed it to take place. And then Alpha Conde also took a cue to return it, backfired on his top. Having done that, ECOWAS is in haste to enforce sanity in Mali in order to deter this situation. But if you have 2 coups in Mali in the same year, it tells you that there's a deeper problem. And the biggest problem in Mali is that there's been a division between the north and the south historically. Under French colonial rule and post-colonial rule, governments, dominance of them come from the south. The southerners have dominated government. So to a typical northern Malian among the Tuareg, there's no difference between the colonial regime and the current regime. So the first thing to do in Mali is not to go and impose deadlines and timetable, was to facilitate dialogue among all forces.
Well, we did. The Malians came to Peduase Lodge. They came to see Flight Lieutenant Rawlins. At that time, he was alive. The coup people. They came here.
That was why
and they came to Peduase Lodge to see the ECOWAS chairman.
That is a Rawlins factor of the coup. I will still come to that. Rather than ensuring promoting dialogue, because the same person who ousted the Boubacar Keïta was the same person who brought him to power, Mahmoud Dicko. So there's no way you could resolve the issue in Mali without involving Mahmoud Dicko, without dealing with the separatists who led to the chaos in Mali in the first place. But you only came, called them to Accra or whatever meeting, gave them a deadline to follow. They obliged. Along the line, they overthrew the government. And then, having saw the pressure that was mounted on him in the first coup, Assimi Goïta calculated ECOWAS to bring sanction. And knowing that the French would toe the line, pressured the French to leave.
He asked the French to leave Mali.
Yeah, to leave Mali.
This is the French who have been there for 50 years, half a century.
Yeah.
He asked them to leave.
Yeah. He raised this nationalistic argument. Perhaps it could be genuine. Perhaps it could be for a selfish interest. I can't tell. But the fact is that knowing that ECOWAS will come with the same demands they went to, he took the French out of northern Mali and hired Russian mercenaries from the Wagner group. So immediately the French pulled out of Timbuktu. He deployed, what do you call it?
You call them Russian mercenaries.
Yeah.
So they are not part of the Russian regular army.
No.
But they are Russian troops. Trained by who? Vladimir Putin?
It's more like, what do you call it? Private military contractors, similar to what US use in Iraq, the black quarters. But in the US context, they are purely meant to secure US, what do you call
interest.
it? US troops. No, when US haven't taken troops to the ground. But for Putin, they offer him plausible deniability. You know, after the collapse of Soviet Union.
Okay, so that Vladimir Putin can distance himself from the activity.
When it backfires against him,
then he distances himself.
He will be able to absorb the Russian state from culpability. But when it goes on well, he benefits. We saw it when he was going to capture Crimea. You know, the soldiers went without insignia, and they were being called the Little Green Men. It only took about a year later for him to convince that the soldiers were actually Russian special forces at that point.
Okay, so is that why Russia at the Security Council was interested in the application that ECOWAS brought to the Security Council?
Yeah.
Now tell us, what is the application that ECOWAS brought to the Security Council?
ECOWAS imposed sanctions on the Malian military junta. But the fact remains that ECOWAS does not have enough capacity to enforce its sanction. It can enforce some, such as the closing of the borders, the expelling of the diplomat, the suspension of Mali from ECOWAS activities. But when it comes to financial transactions and the rest, it needs global support. So there was this need to go to the Security Council for approval. So when they got there, Assimi Goïta, being very smart, outmaneuvered ECOWAS, brought the Wagner group. And anything that punishes Assimi Goïta affects Russia's interests. So Russia and China, in a joint move, vetoed the decision.
Oh, Russia and China?
Yeah.
Vetoed ECOWAS's decision to seek permission to impose sanctions on Mali?
Yeah.
That's catastrophic.
So the only pressure the West can apply now is when they impose unilateral sanction.
Unilateral, yes.
Without Security Council backing. So in that instant, countries like China and Russia can still disregard the sanction and transact business with Mali and ask you that we didn't impose a sanction. It wasn't backed by UN. It was just like the issue with British and...
So that the military junta in Mali now enjoy the tacit support of Russia and China at the Security Council. But that's a big deal. Yeah. That's a big deal. Is that why they're asking for 5 years?
he is asking for 5 years based on his own argument that he need more consultation with the people.
To draw a new constitution.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you can't have...
We always need that kind of
You
thing.
can't have a coup in 2012, have another one in 2013, and even within the 2015. And you have 2 coups within that year. It tells that there's something we are doing which is not right.
So you think Mali is not ready for Western-style democracy? They need to sort the basics out.
The problem is not Western-style democracy. The problem has to do with the historic division between the North and the South. The North feel dominated by the South and not part of governance.
The North feel dominated by the South. Is Bamako in the South?
Bamako is in the South, which is actually a reality.
The French troops based in the South?
No, the French troops were based in the North.
Okay.
As part of the contingent that ousted the Islamists and their Tuareg allies. So you see, until you are able to resolve, because we had about 4 different Tuareg rebellions. We had one in the 60s, we had another one in 1990 to 1995. We had one in 2007, 2009. So if the Tuareg continue to revolt against the Malian state, there's a fundamental problem that has not been addressed. So even if you impose democracy in Mali today, and that problem persists, we'll still go back to either a civil war situation or a
Okay, so you think that Burkina is taking a cue from that. So is ECOWAS prepared to go back to the Security Council and ask for support for sanctions on Mali? Do you think ECOWAS will do that cautiously because they anticipate that Russia and China will come in again and say no?
I myself, I'm not a fan of going to the Security Council in the first place. Let's ask ourselves a simple question. Why do we have to go to so-called international bodies for every basic decision that we want to?
Well, but as you are saying, if you do not have the power to enforce the sanctions, then you need support from the other members of the Committee of Nations, the international community, to support you to be able to deliver those sanctions.
But mind you, the so-called International Committee of Nations play and interpret what is international selectively.
Yes, they do, but that's a procedure that you have to apply if you're a member of the Committee of Nations.
So the question is, why can't we deal with the situation head on? For example, we saw the signals coming in Burkina Faso where the government came to announce...
To deal with the situation head on, you may be violating the territorial integrity of those countries if the government, the legitimate government of the country, has not invited you in. So that if there's a demonstration in Accra, in the 1990s, there was a Kumi-Preko demonstration, it was a massive demonstration and things were turned upside down. It's not a basis for ECOWAS to now send troops to the Ghana-Togo border and the Dahomey border. You can't do that.
I don't know much about the Kumi-Preko demonstration, but I don't think it was on a fundamental constitutional issue. It could be more on economic and...
It was economic for sure, yes. Okay, but the point you're making is that where there's agitation of a constitutional
fundamental
issue, like a third-term desire of the
so
leader...
What is the sense of ECOWAS if it can't intervene on the interests of the people?
Yeah, but here's Burkina Faso, where insurgents have come into the country and they are threatening the security of civilians. Burkina Faso must be able to deploy their army to do that.
That girl is on fire.
Nigeria, they can call for it. If they need support from ECOWAS, from Ghana, they can call for it. If they need the Ghanaian Air Force to go in there and do surveillance and bombard the insurgents, they can do that. If they haven't done that, Ghana president cannot say that I'm flying the Air Force into Burkina Faso.
Gambia has neutralized that argument because when the Gambian issue happened, before ECOWAS made a move, we actually saw Senegal taking initiative. And Senegal took it for a specific reason.
65%
the Casamance
Senegal's relationship with Gambia is the geopolitical relationship is very different because Gambia is embedded inside Senegal.
Not just that.
Diamond producing nations in the world are
There's a rebellion in a
Botswana
certain
in
portion of Senegal,
produces the most diamonds in the world in monetary
which is
terms.
believed by the Senegalese
Guess where the
to be
money is
backed
spent?
by
80% of the diamond
So
industry's
even
money
ECOWAS
is
going
in New York City,
into Senegal and
57
into
billion
Gambia was
US
not as
dollars.
altruistic as they wanted us
And
to
anybody
see.
who's heard the
It's
story
selfish.
of blood diamonds knows
To
what this
protect the
costs.
Senegalese interest.
Senegal took
According
the
to
initiative
statistics
to
from the
protect its
United
interests.
Nations,
Nigeria endorsed
37%
it
of the
to
workforce
protect
of the
its
United
prestige.
Kingdom is made of Africans,
You know, when the
not British Africans.
Ivory Coast situation
Africans.
erupted, Nigeria
Due
wanted
to
to deploy
overuse,
troops across
pollution,
ECOWAS
environmental
because it
degradation,
wanted to
the
shield
natural
Gabon from going
resources
to
of the
Hague,
West are gradually
not
coming
absorbing
to
from
an end,
capability.
regardless of
But
technology
then Nigeria lacked
and whatever
enough
measures are put in place. The
about
truth
assets
is
to move the
unavoidable.
troops by
It is
sea or by air.
inevitable. Africa
So it requested
will be
permission
the
across
source
West
of
Africa.
natural resources,
And that was when
not
Uncle
just for
Atta
the
made his
whole
famous
world,
speech
the
on
West in
DPRSM
particular.
as a foreign
Let's face
policy
the
decision.
truth. The West is coming
And then
to the
South
end of
Africa
an era.
deployed a naval
Africa
vessel in
is
West
just
African
beginning.
waters,
Thank you.
which Nigeria considered to be its own
For the sake of
backyard.
argument,
There's this issue
yes,
of rivalry between.
the West provides Africa
So
with aid.
henceforth,
But at what
Nigeria
cost?
went on weapon
The
arms
IMF and the
shopping.
World Bank constantly
and
press
acquired
African
2
governments to
OPVs,
open their countries up to
offshore
Western
patrol vessels
corporations.
from China,
The Democratic
Sentinel,
Republic of
Unity.
Congo is the richest
So
country
in
in the
Gambia,
world based
Nigeria
on
has
natural
an
resources.
opportunity of
But it's
redeeming
the
its image.
poorest. Why? Its wealth
So it
of
wasn't
minerals is
as if
owned
we
by
had the interest of
32
the Gambians
Western
at heart.
companies.
was
Even
ECOWAS
after
trying to protect its
aggressive
image.
debt relief
It
campaigns,
is in an attempt to protect
African
that image.
countries still pay
we've
20
also
billion
imposed
US
sanctions on
dollars
Mali without
in debt
understanding the
repayment
situation.
every year. A
We have
stark
leaders who don't
reminder
even
that
understand
this
the
foreign aid
situation
you
in the
speak
country.
of is not free.
A typical example is Nigeria.
The motion
We've
that
been
the
hearing
West
bandits,
educates
kidnappings to
us in any
It
way
took a
is a
court
myth.
decision
Because they
to declare the
simply
bandits
use the
as terrorists,
psychological
not the
means
government
to
decision.
make us dependent on
So
them.
if you have leaders who don't even understand their domestic
Let's not
affairs,
deny
how
the
can they do
facts
regional
that
affairs
Africa
collectively?
contributes
I
70%
think
of
with
the world's
coup
cocoa,
in Burkina
34% of its
Faso,
coffee,
it is fair to say that ECOWAS leaders
50%
just
of the
bowed their
gold
head in
that
shame.
the world uses
And do
is
what?
from Africa.
Because we have to solve the
Let's
problem.
face facts. Africa,
What can they do now?
if
The
taken
Mali,
out
they
of the
couldn't even deal with
equation,
Mali.
leaves the West
They couldn't deal with
finished,
Guinea.
empty.
So what can
dry.
they do now?
So are we running at the risk of the Arab Spring now coming into West Africa to create political and security difficulties?
Arab Spring was more of a democratic civil movement.
Yeah, I get it, but the remnants of the Gaddafi overthrow is what you're saying have now come to the West, the Sahel region, which then 2 kilometers down to the south then brings them into West Africa, at least the northern part of West Africa. There's Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Dahomey, that's Benin, Liberia, who are quite stable.
Yeah.
Should these countries be concerned that the instability could sort of ring around their territories
that is
as well?
where this country also highlight this. There's this argument of the coup being a francophone coup.
Mm-hmm.
The stability of these two countries, Togo and Benin, and Ivory Coast, and some of the other francophone countries, clearly tells them it is not a francophone coup, but it is peculiar within the domain of the Islamic.
It's a francophone Islamic Sahel.
Islamic Sahel, but not to generalize that a francophone coup would be too much of a generalization.
Yeah.
But then it tells you that one, the francophone countries perhaps have poorly trained armies, and it's obvious. Some of the when you see the appearance of this, they look like more of police in military fatigues. That's how I.
Police will not be happy today. I have to end it here, Bello. We'll come back to you on Thursday for you to give us the update on that. But yeah, that's Alassane Bello, our international relations correspondent, bringing us the latest from the Mali situation.
We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you, and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.